Hello everybody, my name is Oleh, I'm a .NET developer, and today we are going to talk about such thing as AutoMapper. In that project we have created in the last video, we will try this approach of mapping items and which pros and cons it does have instead of the manual mapping. So let's proceed. First of all, we will start with our project we have created. So it's the Blazor WebAssembly app, and it uses the in-memory database. So in-memory database, and we are seeding the data with this wonderful data, which is the bogus library. First of all, I would mention here that in the case of using the in-memory database, we do not have explicitly specify something like context.database.ensure created or ensure deleted is which could be useful in some cases with the database which is traditional relational one. So that's just because we are recreating this database each time the application runs, and this way these statements are not needed for us at all in this case scenario. So yeah. And what about AutoMapper? So we have created this DTO configuration for our last video, and it's a manual mapping. But we can just use the AutoMapper for the similar purposes. So and let's try that, and let's see which advantages and disadvantages does it have. So we will proceed with the most simple AutoMapper configuration. So currently no complex statements, no some sort of different queries and so on. So first of all, we need to add the AutoMapper package just for our server project. So let's do it. And next we are gonna do some stuff in terms of model, in terms of profile, and so on. So first of all, we need to create the DTO for the AutoMapper. So it will not be this one. Because the data types by default should be equal to the original model. So let's create the person mapper DTO. Here we have, let's do it also the record, because record is possible to use in the AutoMapper. And let's start with our fields. So here we have ID, name, age, gender, and address, so we can just copy that, but we should stick to the original properties. So this will be ID, this will be like in the original model for now, it will be string first name, string last name, and yeah, int age. Also this one be string gender, string address. So and our DTO configuration is fitting the AutoMapper completely in this way. Next we are gonna to add the profile. So how we can do that? We will add it in the server app project, because the mapping profile does require the AutoMapper package installed, and we unfortunately could not install some this stuff to the shared project. So while it's just the data project. So let's go to the logic and let's create a mapping profile. Mapping profile for this stuff, and what we need here to do. So first of all, we need to inherit this class from the profile. So profile, and yeah, here we are importing the AutoMapper. So it will be a public mapping profile which inherits from the file from AutoMapper. And next we have to create a constructor of this class. So let's do it. It does not have any options, so this way. And after that, while we are going to use the projection query, so the projection query means that we will grab this necessary data just from entity framework, so it will be not something like that we will grab the whole model from the entity and only then we will map it to our DTO, but we will do the selection of the required data just in our query. So let's start with create projection. So create projection, and we need to specify both types of the projection. So it will be a person, which is in shared DAO, and it will be person mapper DTO. So here in the shared.dto. So and this configuration will create a binding between this one and this one. So yeah, it's like the second step. The third step, we need to create the mapper for this stuff. So how we can do that? First of all, let's proceed with the relatively new template for the 12 version of the AutoMapper, so the actual one, and this one will be var config, and this one will be new mapper configuration, where we are adding this profile. So configuration dot add profile, and it will be of type of our mapping profile. So, and what's public parameters constructor? Probably, yeah. So we have the protected here. Let's change it to the public. Yeah, this way. Next, after this configuration, we should add we should create our mapper. So mapper will be configuration dot create mapper. So here we have the mapper object. Because the mapping service is a singleton by default, so we can create just one object and then use it for our service. And also we need one more line here, because our configuration can be either valid or invalid. We should have a prerequisite to keep an eye on these exceptions. So, and it can be done with such thing as mapper dot configuration provider and dot assert configuration is valid. So when we check this configuration just in the runtime, just in the startup time of the application. And after that, of course, we are going to add this mapper to the services. So let's add singleton, and let's add the singleton of this mapper. Yeah, so here is it. Here is the AutoMapper configuration for our most simplest approach. After that, we need to create a kind of API for this one. So, and let's copy this one. Let's call it person's mapper, and instead of this one, it will be also the return type of person mapper DTO. And here, instead of this select, we can just use the projection query of the AutoMapper. So persons dot project 2, and next we are gonna to specify to which type we are gonna project, but not this way, but this way. Project 2 person mapper D2 and to list. One moment. Not this way. In terms of using the AutoMapper, we should also add the mapper to our dependencies. So, and how we can do that? First of all, we need to specify our mapper here as a dependency injection. So it will be of type mapper, and it will be mapper. Next, we are gonna to create the constructor with both of these, while we are injecting both DB context and the AutoMapper dependency, and this one we are gonna not need. And after that, we should start not with the context, but with our mapper. So it will be a mapper dot project 2. Let's specify the type which we are projecting, and let's specify the source of our projection this way. So we are using mapper.project2, desired type. Next we are specifying the source context.persons, and next we are retrieving the result as a list here. So, and let's remove these ones, and let's create an API for this case. So let's just copy this one, and it will be persons, maybe it will be persons mapper this way. Let it be an additional API, and let's do it this way. After that, we are going to the front-end part here in the fetch data, probably not in the fetch data, yeah, but in the persons. And let's call this API. So it will be person mapper DTO, maybe a person mapper, and our person mapper will be just as this one, but with the another API call. So here, and it will be of course of type persons mapper DTO. So that's it, and let's try this configuration. So I'm launching the application in background and navigating to this page. So here we see our items of type the person mapper DTO and having just all properties we have specified. Next, I'm showing why we need this configuration insurance string. So not string, but statement. Yeah, so this one. First of all, let's start with the kind of invalid configuration where we go to the person mapper DTO, and let's specify something like maybe ID 1 this way. And currently let's comment this out. So currently we will have a semi-invalid configuration. We do not have any validation here, and let's try what will occur this way. So we are launching the app. The app has successfully launched, and after that let's go to persons, and yeah, and here we have a kind of not very good situation. So yeah, we have this one. So a very big error just in the front end part, that something cannot be mapped and so on. Yeah, so it's the error just not on the front end, but probably it's on the server part, because it's the 500 and yeah, client pages, but not it's not on the API side, it's just on the client side. So it's not very good scenario in terms of, let's assume that we are gonna develop this stuff locally. Maybe we have not noticed this case before deploying it to the staging or production. Next, we are going to deploy that, and our unhappy tester or customer will see this kind of an error. So that's not good. But if we are going to use this one, and we will rerun this application this way, it will just throw an exception just on the application initialization time. Yeah. So, and the exception here is almost detailed. So no such stuff as something was missing, 500 error and so on. So when we are gonna to have a rather long investigation, yeah, this one probably, yeah, application has closed. So let's run it one more time. Yeah, so here we have just the detailed exception, which is saying that it's strictly the AutoMapper exception, it's a configuration exception, and it has just the, yeah, this one. It has just the details of what is not mapped. So here we see that person is not mapped to the person mapper DTO. One moment, one more time. Yeah. So we see that what is not mapped and why is not mapped. So unmapped properties, we see that ID1 is not mapped to the property of the model. So this is a very detailed case, it's very suitable, and it's very informative in terms of debugging. So that's great. So that's the case where we have to obligatory use this approach. One moment, let me dock this panel. Yeah. So, and my advice is to obligatory use this one. It's required one when you are starting with the AutoMapper, because if you do not have this kind of validation, you will expect you can, for example, you can have any kind of model mismatch, and you will have a long time investigating what's exactly wrong with your model, with your AutoMapper, and so on. So this is a required one. And let's fix our model. It's person mapper DTO, and let's return it to the ID. And one more thing is how to get this data on the front end in visual way. So the Blazor WebAssembly does have the component of the Virtualize. So Virtualize is I will share this MSDN page about the component virtualization. So virtualization is the way where which you can easily provide the data to the front end in the way with virtualization, which reduces the amount of resources for some large data, for some displaying of some large data. So, for example, if I have the list of the maybe 200 persons, so this way of interacting is the preferred one. So let's try this snippet of code, and in terms of our persons, not this one, have not copied probably, very strange. Okay, very strange, but yeah, let's start with this approach. So we have the virtualize component, and which parameters does it have? So first of all, it has the parameters of the items. So let's specify the items. Here we have the items, and it's the parameter of the collection. So items will be, for example, persons. Next, we are gonna to make something like P, and it will be, for example, yeah, it will be context dot name, context dot maybe address. Here we are just testing, so currently I will run this application in order to get whether it's working or not. So, and let's, yeah, so the data, very interesting. Class as items or items provided parameters specified and not now. Yeah. So, and what's happening here? So we have the both page displayed, and we have both this error. So let me explain a bit about the life cycle of this page. So we have on the parameter set async, which is async one. So it means that we are rendering this page, and we are getting the data just in parallel. So, and there is no insurance that the virtualized component will be rendered when the persons are loaded. So, and this error indicates us about the scenario when we are trying to render the virtualized component, and first time it fails to render because we do not have this one. So, and the most straightforward fix in this way, there are two possible ways of fixing this error. So the first one is the most probably well known for you and straightforward, is the if statement. So if, for example, persons is not now, then we are making these brackets and putting our component into the brackets this way. So we can run it this way, and let's see the inspection output on this page. So I'm currently interested with getting no error. So yeah, and it got without no error here. But there is one more way, because I'm not found of any kind of unnecessary nesting, and we can go with one more way. So let's try this way, and next I will explain what is this exactly, what the statement does exactly. Let's yeah, persons. this way. Yeah, and also, yeah, it's not possible probably this way. But let's have one more workaround here. So we can just not go with this one, but we can provide here we have the persons, we can have the new list of the person DTO. So let's make it the more modern approach, so it will be the new one. And let's try it one more time. Yeah, and here we see any kind here we do not see any kind of error. So and why? So the error was just in the virtualize component when you are trying to render this component with the now reference. So because this declaration assumes that we have the now list in this initial stage. So this one is now, and this one is just empty. So, and it means that if we have the empty list, so this virtualized component will not render any items, but it will not result in exception. And this one means that if you have an asynchronous load of the data and you do not have some precautions like here, so to render when this list is explicitly not now, that could possibly result in an error. So keep that in mind, and in many scenarios this case would be useful. So, and probably that's it for today. So in the next podcasts we will get our hands more detailed with the virtualized component, with the mapping, and with more difficult projection queries to get the data, and how to post and put the data in the Blazor WebAssembly in the Web API. So hopefully this video was useful for you. If you have any ideas, comments, or suggestions, please message me. I'm really appreciate your feedback, and I'm really open for discussion.